I want to do one other quick explanatory video, and this is to do with sitemaps and something else Kevin was ranting on about again, because he doesn't understand something and he feels that he makes an assumption on something he doesn't understand. He's not qualified to comment on. He tells everyone and everyone believes him because Kevin doesn't understand it. He's not qualified and everyone else is stupid and naive enough to believe just because someone is saying something it's true. Now, when I say this, don't take my word, go and Google it and look this up for yourself. So Kevin is ranting on saying that I've modified something to do with sitemaps. In some way I've altered sitemaps so that Google Shopping doesn't work. So let's just understand this, right? Google Shopping is in shopping. If I wanted to look for a brake caliper, let's do that, we might as well, what the hell. Google Shopping is up here and it lists all your parts. Now that is Google Shopping, right? Okay. And if you've got an account, a trading account with Google, you can list your parts in there. Okay, so sitemaps, which I'm actually looking at a sitemap now, and if we look, this is actually a one-apart sitemap, right? Okay, so it lists in here the pages that we want Google to go and look at. We are saying to Google with a sitemap, hey, we have this page here, and this particular one here is for a 1.77 petrol saloon, whatever that might be, and we'd like you to go and have a look at it. Now, they should, it's slightly naughty. Well, no, actually it's not. I was going to say these URLs are very similar. There shouldn't be any identical, because ideally you don't want identical URLs, because then it wouldn't know what page to load. But they are very, very similar. So Google doesn't always go and have a look. But anyway, what this lists and what Kevin is going on about, he's saying, oh, the dates are wrong. The dates are wrong. So what we're looking at here is this page, this one apart petrol saloon, whatever it is. And this date. Now this date here lists, as it says there in the brackets, last modified date. So that is the last modified date. We are telling Google that the last time this particular page here was modified was on January 28th, 2011. So Google, if it's indexed that page after that date, won't go back to it. It's being told, you know, you don't need to go and waste your time, Google, hammering our site and updating a database when this page hasn't changed. And then you're telling it how often to check the frequency, you know, change frequency monthly, and then you're giving it a priority. How important this page is, or how important you feel the page is for the ranking, or for Google to index. So, and you can drive Google, you can try sort of give it a direction, as it were. Google isn't necessarily going to index all these pages. It may look at them and not index them. It may say, hey, these two pages are very, very similar. And to be honest, a lot of these are very similar. They do actually list the same part, but have a different SEO URL. So, and when I say an SEO URL, it's got words in here, meaningful information in relation to the product. You know, it's a Volvo estate, whatever that was. Whoops, where was we? Volvo petrol saloon. You know, it's got meaningful words in here, not just the number of digits to represent a part ID. So anyway, Kevin is trying to imply that I've modified this or changed it in some way, that the dates are old and that this is affecting Google Shopping. So all this sitemap is for is to give Google an idea of where to go and to look at your site. So you can tell it, you know, go and have a look at this particular part and then index it. So if we were to then go and look at that particular URL on that one, obviously it no longer exists, so you're probably going to get an error message. Yeah, page you requested cannot be found. So that no longer exists. So that was what was happening. Kevin looked at this and assumed this was affecting shopping, and it quite simply doesn't. The thing that affects shopping, as I just explained here, now Google, and let me show you another one actually before. Shopping is completely different to sitemaps. So here's another sitemap. Here's Ford car parts. So you can see at the top, Ford car parts, contact us. So we could go and type that URL in. And it says there it was last modified on April 2013. So if Google's indexed it already, it's not going to go back and do it again. And if we type that URL in, it's just not going to work. I don't think it resolves. I don't think they have Ford car parts anymore. So anyway, That's what this is. Google, it's a guide for Google. You're telling Google to go and index your pages. And the results of this, in essence, are what come up here. So these are the pages. So if you were to now go and look at and do site:/skscarparks.co.uk, these are the links. This is where that information would show up. It would show up here in your SERPs, in your search engine results page. So this is where the sitemap, this is what the sitemap is used for. It's used for guiding Google to list these pages here. It has nothing to do with shopping. Shopping is completely different. Shopping is driven by something called a data feed. You have an account and you have a data feed. Now this is the data feed for car brake calipers. So we can list at the top there, car brake calipers, product ID. Now if you look here, this product_ID 22027 is not a friendly URL. So when it comes to indexing your pages, because it's got product_ID instead of that meaningful or more meaningful one that I just showed you for Wanapart, this doesn't necessarily work as well when it comes to ranking your page. Because if you had in here, for example, caliper for a Honda Civic, the word Honda and Civic in this URL would be better when it comes to Google ranking. But what I'm showing you here, this is the data feed. And if for any reason, source Google, there's some little tags for the Google to understand, make, model, then it's got a description, Alfa Romeo, all the different Alfa Romeo calipers, the years, all the years it's valid, the part numbers, when the product expires, how much it's going to cost, your cost of your part, and then ultimately an image for the part. So that is the Google Shopping data feed. Now that has to be updated. That will only be valid for 31 days, and then after that you have to update it. And now by default it was done every day. I would get these feeds and upload them every day. So as soon as they're not uploaded, they're going to expire. So I'm not actually sure what they were going on about. So Sam is implying somehow that I removed all the links and the feeds and whatever from Google. I have no control over that. That's once you're indexed on here, even if your site goes down, Google isn't about to remove this straight away. It will keep checking your page. It will remember, and then when your site comes back up, it will relist you. So it would take ages for all that to be disappeared. As far as Google Shopping, Kevin is implying that the sitemaps are affecting Google Shopping. Sitemaps have nothing to do with Google Shopping. It's the data feed. If for any reason that data feed hasn't been updated or they're not loading it, then it's not going to list. So that was part of my job. I used to do that. I used to upload those data feeds, modify them. Now, to be honest, I can't remember when I last updated it before April the 11th because I was concentrating on something else. So they may have expired and they may be due for uploading. So that could be a number of things. But the sitemaps, as Kevin was trying to imply and trying to tell people that they were out of date because these dates, which are actually last modified dates, he was trying to imply that this last modified date had something to do with, making it look old. No, that just makes you understand when the page was edited. So what I'm saying here is, again, this is an illustration of someone who's not qualified, not educated, and does not understand what's going on, trying to tell the world what he believes is factual when it's just really a figment of his imagination. So he's told the world that these sitemaps are stopping shopping from working when they have nothing to do with shopping. So go and Google it, go and have a Google on Google Shopping or Merchant Center, and go and have a Google on sitemaps and see how sitemaps work. And and the other thing here is as well, these were listed with SEO URLs. So what they were is oh, actually this one isn't. The Ford Car Parks one is, so this is not an SEO URL. That's interesting. So it's listed, it's unfriendly. So here it's got product ID equals 116. So that's not nice when it comes to indexing. But if we were to look at this one, no, not that one. If we were looking to look at this one, no, that's not that one either. If we were to look at sitemap 6, here we go. If we look at this one, this has an SEO friendly URL to a degree. So it's a 1.7 petrol saloon. So these words, if they're in your search terminology, it would help with your ranking because it was towards the top. Now the problem is, as I pointed out, I told them I needed a couple of days to configure all this stuff. before once I was doing the databases, but despite me telling them that, they locked all the databases down. So all this configuration was never finished. So you had a sitemap with an SEO friendly URL, but a site that wasn't configured to understand that. So they were getting error messages. Instead of fixing it, they went and did some generic error message saying, sorry, you can't find this part, please call us, which really wasn't a solution to the problem and didn't help their conversion rate or their on-site conversion rate, because people probably got this message and just buggered off. Instead, they should have fixed that problem. It was a straightforward configuration problem. As I'd said to them, if they'd given me the 2 days to configure it before Kevin just jumped up and locked everything down, that would have been configured. But after he locked it down, it was left as it was. So he had a site that was configured and working with unfriendly URLs and didn't recognize a friendly SEO URL, so their rankings were never going to work as well, and they never ever resolved it. And to be honest, it was a couple of clicks of a button. They just didn't ever bother looking at it, and I cannot understand why that was. And you know, I told Liz, go and give someone 100 quid who understands that particular cart and they'll fix it for you, but I'm not interested anymore. And you know, they could have sorted that quite easily, and that would have helped their conversion and their sales in the remaining time they were using those sites. So that pretty much, folks, is an explanation of sitemaps and Google Shopping data feeds, and how the two of them really don't have anything in common other than sitemaps helps you get your pages listed when you do a generic search, and data feed lists parts under Google Shopping. So despite Sam and Kevin both saying that for some reason I took listings away from Google and stopped shopping from working by modifying sitemaps, both of them are completely wrong, and both of them don't know what they're talking about. So on that note, I hope I've summarized my explanations on those two issues.